Now you know every embarrassing thing that happened to me. So that's cool. Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where I share my story of getting diagnosed with developmental hip dysplasia at the age of 19, 20. And then I had the surgery to correct it just before my 21st birthday. This video is really going to be like all over the place. I'm probably just going to be cutting here and there. So I have my thoughts written down and as much as I could remember in this notebook. So to start with, I was in grade 12 in 2012 and I was playing basketball, and I've always played basketball every year in school. And it wasn't until my grade 12 year when I was on the senior team and I was playing a lot more tournaments and, you know, just practicing a lot harder. And I just had this sensation in my hip, or groin actually, where it just felt like I needed to pop my hip back in place or something, like it just, or crack it. Like I was always just trying to stretch my hip out, just trying to crack something back in place. It was just so like bone on bone feeling that, yeah, which actually that's what it turned out to be. And so we went to the doctor in my town and they prescribed physiotherapy for a tight hip flexor, like a tight psoas flexor or something like that. So I went to physio, I went to massage. That really hurt to get that massaged. So it was tight, I mean, but that was not the only problem. But through all those treatments, I still wasn't getting better. And I didn't want to quit basketball. I love basketball and was having a great year. I needed to find some sort of support for my hip. There's no like hip braces like there are for knees or elbows. So what I would do is take a tensor bandage, wrap it around my waist and down my leg and try to support my leg as much as I could. It looked ridiculous, but it actually did help me to be able to make it through games. I don't know if people thought that I was like faking it or something, because it wouldn't hurt all the time. It would be when I'm walking or running, but then I could bend my legs out and in certain positions, and I could sit and stand at that point. And even like the physiotherapist, she was very confused at why I could flex my leg one way and not the other, and she didn't know what it meant. And all of that to say, nothing really happened for me in the treatment area in my grade 12 year. So I went on to university. I can't find any records of me seeking medical treatment for my hip all of like 2012, 2013 school year. I'm assuming because I wasn't playing any sports at that time, I wasn't very active, constant pressure on it wasn't there. I did get sore walking to and from campus from my residence, but wasn't that bad obviously at that time. But it was bad enough that it was like still constantly there. And by 2014, I was being seen at the university hospital. I got x-rays done there. That doctor said that he suspected hip dysplasia, and he tried to explain it to me and my mom, but he wasn't the orthopedic expert, so he referred me to an orthopedic surgeon in Calgary, Alberta, which is 9 hours away from where I live. While waiting to get that referral done, I got an MRI done, a radioactive scan, a bone scan. I got my first x-ray done in July of 2014, and that's when the doctor suspected the hip dysplasia. And then the next test was the MRI in October of 2014, and then the radioactive testing was in January of 2015. And we got those tests done just for more pictures and proof of my diagnosis for when I saw the specialist, which was in February of 2015. So me and my mom drove to Calgary for that appointment, And with that, we realized we would not be able to drive there and back for my surgery because that would just be too hard on me. With that consultation, it was confirmed I had developmental hip dysplasia, which that is where the head of your femur, like in your leg, not correctly situated in the socket of your pelvic bone. My socket did not develop correctly. It was basically like that. And so that was the bone on bone pressure that I was feeling in my grade 12 year of basketball. With surgery, they basically cut here and here on your pelvic bone, and then they rotate it to correctly cover the head of your femur, and then they screw it back in place up here. So now I do have a fully covered femur head. My surgery was in June of 2015, so just a couple months of waiting, and that was lucky because I was done school by that time for that year. So what we did was with WestJet, there's a, like, for medical purposes, there's a one seat, one fare type of deal. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it's where my seat is full price, but my companion or caregiver's seat, you only pay the taxes for it. So it's a lot cheaper, and that really, really helped out. I didn't know that that existed with WestJet or any airline, but I'm really glad my mom found that, because we ended up making a few flights to Calgary and back, so that saved us a lot of money. And then in Calgary, there was a Travelodge there where they had a program if you were there for reasons like medical reasons or staying at the hospital, etc. It was a greatly discounted price for the hotel room, and it was a decent, I mean, not a 5-star, but you know, it was comfortable, you know, and a quick drive to the hospital where I was at anyway. So that was nice for my mom to be able to stay there for cheap while I was in the hospital, and then for all of our other consultation visits as well. So I say all of those things just as like a tip for anybody else in Canada that is trying to save money while doing these trips. WestJet with their discount, and then Travelodge hotels, I'm sure more than just the Travelodge in Calgary offers these types of rates for medical purposes. So just in case, I wanted to give you guys that information to help out. Also, I wanted to explain just a little bit about what it felt like for me in my hip without knowing that it was hip dysplasia. Like, it was so hard to explain. Like I said, it just felt like I needed to crack my bone back into place, or it just felt out of place, and it was. But I didn't know that, and I couldn't explain it. And because of the position of everything, that's why it hurt to bend my leg inwards and not outwards. People were very confused at why I could bend it outwards so easily but not inwards, and that would be why I was very restricted in that motion. I wanted to explain that because for anybody else going through it, it's very hard to explain, in my opinion, that feeling that I had, and that it's not sore all the time. And then especially I am in a small town. I do have access to like x-rays, but not a whole lot more than that. And so there's no like orthopedic surgeon on hand here or anything like that. And so to be told that it's just a hip flexor, and you just know that something else is wrong. I wanted to share my experience, hopefully so that if it's happening to you, you can fight for yourself and advocate that no, it's something more than a tight hip flexor. Anyways, the biggest thing I wanted to focus on here was the surgery and then the recovery, because I had no idea what the surgery entailed really. And so I looked on YouTube, and I actually couldn't find anything, and that was just 5 years ago. I especially couldn't find anything on the recovery of a 20-year-old or just a young person in general. So that's why I wanted to make this. I've wanted to make this video for a very long time because I want young people to know what it's like, because it's scary when you're young and you're about to get major hip surgery. I just wanted to share my experience to maybe comfort you or just let you know of some embarrassing things that are probably gonna happen. Okay, yeah, so speaking of embarrassing things, I am going to go into pretty much all the nitty gritty, dirty, gross, embarrassing, I can't believe I'm saying this on the internet details, because I would want to know every type of thing that could happen in the hospital. I have anxiety like that. All right. Even if it's bad, I want to know that it could happen. If it's embarrassing, I want to know that it's a possibility that it would happen. I don't know why, but so just in case you're like that, I am going to share it. And if you're not, sorry. Okay, so what I want to say is that probably everything sounds worse than it is. Yeah, that's how I'll preface this. And not everything that happened to me will happen to someone else. And then other people could have more complications. But like I said, I just wanted to know every possible thing that could happen, good or bad. And I couldn't find that. So I was very nervous not knowing what could happen to me in the hospital. Like, I didn't know how I was going to go to the bathroom. I was so scared about having to go in a bedpan. But I didn't know if I was going to have to or not. So hopefully this helps you. Sorry if this is so gross. It is what it is. So the surgery was 5 hours for me, and I already explained what they do. And for me, I have a big long incision on the front of my hip. I will be posting pictures maybe over there during the video. Okay, yeah. So 5-hour surgery, 2 hours in the recovery room, apparently. That's what my mom said. I'll start with going into the operating room. It's pretty cold, but they gave me a heated sheet, and that was very nice and comforting. And so I got an epidural to completely numb my lower half before I got put to sleep. So you bend over the table for them to put an epidural in, much like you would see if someone was having a baby. And it was an immediate effect. Like, I had to get, like, the nurses and staff had to help me put my legs back up on the table. It was instantly just numb. And then that's literally all I remember. I don't remember putting the mask on with anesthesia or anything, but that's it. I remember I woke up with the breathing tube being taken out because I started coughing and my throat really hurt and I was nauseous. I asked for some water, but because I was nauseous, I could not have any water. So that did not help my throat feel better. I'll skip to being in my hospital room. I was very lucky to get a private room. I don't know how we swung that. Anyways, so that first day, I did not really eat anything. I was just too nauseous. But I finally got to have water after I got into my room, and that helped me feel a lot better. So this is the first part, that is TMI. You have a catheter in. I had to go to the bathroom. Like, I had to pee so badly. And I was like, why do I have to go pee so badly? Like, if I have the catheter, like, shouldn't it just go? Apparently my catheter failed. So it just wasn't working. I don't know how a catheter fails. I don't literally know what that means anatomically or whatever. But so they had to take it out and I had to use a bedpan. That was great. A great start to this story for you guys. And a great start to my stay at the hospital. But got the first embarrassing thing out of the way. What I did eat on the first day was plain old Dutch chips. It helped me when I was feeling nauseous. It's kind of like crackers, I guess. I want to tell you to advocate for yourself. That's what this video is for, is to give you as much information as possible to, like, be able to advocate for yourself. My surgery was the PAO, Periacetabular Osteotomy, and it is not a hip replacement. And some of the nurses that I had at the beginning on the first day did not realize or understand that it was not the same as a hip replacement. I was in discomfort, and finally I was getting more comfortable with my leg a little tiny bit elevated, like tiniest bit elevated, with a little bit of, like, the flattest pillow we could find. And a nurse came in and she's like, oh, you're not supposed to have your leg elevated after a hip replacement. And she literally didn't rip it out like that, but she didn't gently pull up my leg or anything. She just took it out. That hurt so badly. It was probably the worst thing that second worst thing that happened to me during my stay. Anyways, advocate for yourself. It is not the same as a hip replacement. You don't have the same restrictions and or abilities. And so whatever makes you feel comfortable, do it. So the day after my surgery was day 1 of physio. I was kind of prepared for physio to be right after. I was told that, but it wasn't that much. Literally, you just work at getting to a seated position on the bed, and they had this walker that was like armpit height with arms on it that you rest your arms on, and then little posts for me to hold onto. So you literally just are putting all your weight on that walker. I think I have a picture of that experience there. Very weak in the leg. You have no muscle in your leg whatsoever, but you need to make sure that your foot is being placed properly when you're trying to walk. That's the point of physio that first day. With that, like major assistance, along with getting up to the standing position with the walker, you also practice getting to a seated position on the commode. That is how you go to the bathroom in the bathroom, is using a commode. So I would move from the bed onto the commode and then get wheeled into the bathroom. The commode goes over top of the toilet. And there you have it, easy peasy. And yes, I had nurses wipe my butt for me. I couldn't bend really, or, it's just, I already peed in a pan. It's fine. Along with going to the bathroom with assistance, you have to shower with assistance. They'll like help you walk into the shower, and then they'll stand outside the shower curtain and try to make sure you're not falling. There's a seat in the shower as well that you can use too. I sat in the shower for a long time. Even at home, I sat in the shower. Okay, I don't really remember the day-to-day things of my eating habits or anything like that. I know I did start to eat a little bit more. And with physio, I was wheeled down to the physio level of the hospital, and we would work on just getting in and out of bed using a strap. And then I was getting used to using crutches. And before I could leave for home, I had to be able to go up and down stairs using crutches. So I think there's a video of that. But that was like day 5 of me doing physio or OT. I was in the hospital for 6 days, and most of it was pretty good. But one thing that I do remember that I wanted to let you know about, one night I felt cold, and when you're cold you kind of like tense and shiver, but tensing up is not good. I had a muscle spasm, and that was probably the worst thing that happened in the hospital. And then it was the pillow being taken out from my leg, and then it was peeing in a pan. It was so bad because like with any muscle spasm, you can't really control it. Like when you get whatever they're called in your calves, like in the middle of the night, it's hard to stop. You have to just try to keep breathing and relax and get through it. It was so painful. Like the muscle spasm itself was painful, but then on top of it affecting your sawed off bone and cut skin, it was just not a good time. But they gave me another warm sheet, and that helped. But so just be cautious of that. Like for me, it started out when I was cold. So just let yourself be warm all the time. I don't know, just that's something that happened to me. So just letting you know, muscle spasms are a thing that can happen. Okay, so more embarrassing things. You have to be able to poop before you leave the hospital. And that was not happening for me because of the medication. Like that happens for a lot of people. But I had to get a suppository. With that, I will also give a piece of advice on this matter. Because I still needed assistance getting on the commode and then going to the bathroom, into the bathroom, I was pushing the help button whenever I had to go to the bathroom. When I got the suppository, she said, ring it when you need to go. Well, I rang it when I started feeling the need to go. But the nurses are not always available the second you push a button. That is a hard lesson that I had to learn. I was so panicked because nobody was coming and I had to go. I already had my bedpan experience. I did not need to literally shit the bed. I was so scared, but luckily they came. But yeah, that piece of advice, push the call button like maybe a little bit before the urge to go. So I think the reason why that happened to me was because they warned me with a suppository, it'll feel like you have to go, but you actually don't yet. So just wait a few minutes before pressing the call button. I would maybe suggest pressing the button a little bit earlier. It was just not a good time. That's the worst that happened to me. I'm very lucky. Like usually they said you're in the hospital for like 7, 8, 9 days even. And I was going home on the 6th day. So going home, we had to fly home. And I made sure that I had my drugs taken on time and drugs with me in the airplane. And we took a pillow from the hospital actually for me to sit on the airplane. We were seated at the front of the plane with the most leg room. Thank goodness, because I had to have my leg pretty straight out for the most part. Okay, I completely lost muscle tone. Like I said, no muscle in my leg, and I have a picture of that here. Like it's insane how little my leg was. And then I went to Calgary 2 months later for a post-op x-ray and just check on how I was doing. And I believe I have pictures there. It was healing good. Everything was fine. And I started to go back to school in September. And by that time, I was like fully able to walk on it. I just used a cane for a little bit. Yeah, I was going to class with a cane. So in September, I started physio. And I continued doing physio for a couple months at the physio building. And then you're supposed to continue on at home. And I did not for as long as I should have. That is what I really want to stress to people. Physio is really, really, really annoying, especially for this. I had to be like on the floor stretching things. You can't really just get on the floor at my work anyways. But that's no excuse. I should have done it at home. You should do your physio at home. Because my hip still kind of bothers me, more so in the muscles. So obviously my bone is fully healed and it's actually feeling good that way, but my muscles are still very tight, very sore, probably not as strong as they should be. And that's because I didn't follow through with my physio. Everyone around me, if they are watching this video, I know you told me to do my physio, but it's hecka annoying. So anyway, do your physio. So it has nothing to do with the actual surgery not being successful. It was successful. My bone is fully healed. I can run, I can sit cross-legged, I can bend my leg in and out and do lots of things. I'm very, very thankful that it was diagnosed and fixed and it was successful. But the physio, that's on me. I did not follow through with it and now I experience discomfort quite often. Oh yeah. Okay, last thing, I got my screws removed. I had the option, I could keep them in or not, but actually when I laid on my non-operative side, I could feel my screws. I don't know, I just could. And I could literally feel the head of one on my bone and it hurt. So I got my screws removed. That helped a lot with my pain. So I actually had a second incision done. I do have a picture of that. I had an incision on top of half of my previous incision. I went under again for that surgery and it was a way shorter surgery, so the anesthesia did not have as bad of an effect on me. I didn't wake up nauseous. I could drink water right away, and that felt nice. And yeah, I went home the same day. And yeah, it was pretty sore, but I had a crutch and a cane, and you just work with it. Today, my scar is still pretty prevalent, pretty large, and it actually hurts. Like the scar, when you touch it in some places, it is sore. I know this video is very lengthy, super awkward at some points. I tried to give you like the main information, the stuff that happened. Basically all the things that I was worried about or wondering about before I had surgery. So I wanted to give that to you in hopes that it would help you if you're going through something similar to this. Just really wanted this to be out there for someone who was like me and not knowing anything about the surgery they were about to have. I hope this helps. I hope this doesn't make you more anxious. I hope this calms you down a little bit. You get over it. When you're feeling like crap in the hospital, you don't really care that the nurse is seeing you naked or whatever. I hope this video helped you and didn't make you more stressed. Anyways, I'll stop. The next video should be more fun than this. Please like this video and subscribe for more videos to come. Comment if you're having the surgery, if you've had this surgery. Anyways, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.